with reactions trailing the joint session of the National Assembly on Wednesday, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented the 2024 budget proposal of 27.5 trillion naira. While many Nigerians have expressed concern about the projected expenditure of the budget, Senate President Godswill Akpabio assured the president that lawmakers will consider the budget. Akpabio, however, advised the president not to allow his cabinet members travel when they're expected to defend the budget at the National Assembly.
We assure you that the proposals you have come to present to us will be diligently considered accordingly. We approach this moment with a sense of duty, unity and purpose to ensure maximum attention to the review of the year 2023 budget performance and the consideration of the year 2024 budget estimates. We request Mr. President would mandate honorable ministers and heads of agencies to avoid foreign travels during this period of our engagements with them. That will prevent them from dishonoring the invitation of the chambers of the National Assembly. They will promptly appear before our committees to defend their budget estimates. We will not want to wait for them, otherwise we will lose time, and time is not on our hands.
All right. Akpabio says he wants the ministers around, he wants them not to travel, otherwise they will lose time. I mean, this is a concern for a lot of Nigerians because people are saying, he wants to pass this budget so quickly. But however, after that budget proposal, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu traveled to Dubai for COP28 for the climate summit, which is themed Unite, Act and Deliver. There he'll discuss severe impact of climate change on Nigeria. And you know that, we have a lot of issues with flooding, as well as erosion, drought and national security. The president obviously must have traveled with senior delegates for that summit. We don't know who they are. We don't know the ministers. I know that the Minister of Environment will be there, as well as Minister of Foreign Affairs. But another reaction trailing the joint session of the National Assembly was a song of allegiance, "On Your Mandate, We Shall Stand," which was used to usher in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu before he presented the budget. Well, let's take a listen before we come back for a discussion.
So, distinguished colleagues and honorable members, let us at this point welcome the President, a man with track record, an alumnus of the National Assembly, to present his budget estimates. Can we give him a resounding applause?
Well, all right. Let's take some reactions. This is the big wig. His tweet reads, "National Assembly singing for Tinubu. We have witnessed rubber stamp Senate under Ahmed Lawan. But this Godswill Akpabio Senate is a collection of hype men. He has moved from wearing Tinubu's insignia cap to on your mandate hyperlord, right on the floor of the Senate. Every well-meaning Nigerian must condemn this rendition of Tinubu's campaign tune in the National Assembly chamber, an evidence of outright totalitarianism." Dr. Abati.
I agree with, what do you call that person?
Big wig.
Big wig. Is that a name?
Yes.
Okay.
On Twitter.
But in any case, what he's saying makes sense.
Big wig Austin. His name is Austin.
This is how it starts. Hero worship.
Yes, so.
This is how parliaments in Africa turn their presidents into dictators. The National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if we check both chambers, both red and green, it's a collection of members from different political parties. Labour Party is there, PDP is there, APGA is there. Other political parties are there. So it's a place for lawmaking, for good governance, an oversight assembly. This kind of open sycophancy is primitive, if I may use that word. On your mandate we stand is the slogan, is the song, for the APC.
Right.
So the APC cannot hijack a bipartisan National Assembly, where there are other political parties representing the interests of Nigerians. And if you look at the result of the election, it's not every Nigerian that is standing on the mandate of President Tinubu. When the president arrives at an occasion, the appropriate thing to play is the national anthem.
Correct.
And I hope that these lawmakers are not going to pursue the idiocy of playing APC song at public events. The recognized song in Nigeria is the national anthem. If they want, and the presentation of the budget before the National Assembly is a national occasion, not an APC occasion. So that's something to be really condemned. Now, what's the first leg of the story before this?
We talked about the ministers.
The ministers not traveling. Okay. The president asked the National Assembly, the leadership of the National Assembly, to pass the bill expeditiously. And I guess that is within the context of the plan by the government to keep to the old budget cycle of January to December, so that it's not as we used to have it in the past. You now have to run the old budget till, almost half of the year. So I think that in itself makes sense. If the National Assembly is now saying, well, due to the harmonious relationship that we have, we will pass the budget very quickly. But they are saying ministers should not travel, heads of ministries and departments and agencies should not travel, because they will be required, of course, to come and defend some of the line items and explain, and to prevent a situation whereby these lawmakers will write themselves into the Appropriation Act of Nigeria. So it's important that those heads of MDAs also show up. However, if there is proper coordination, I say coordination, I'm not saying the legislature should take directives from the executive. If there is proper coordination, if any minister has a compelling reason to travel, the National Assembly will have been informed, and everything can be very smooth. But the more important point is that the National Assembly has an obligation to do due diligence, not to use that budget to fund luxury. Nigerians don't expect that they will start importing luxury items, luxury subheads into that or constituency projects for their own interest. But otherwise, the Senate President made a number of points about the need to reduce the debt burden, the need to prioritize education, the need for diversifying the economy, the need for Nigeria to stop over-dependence on crude oil, and his point about, how to unbundle some offices, particularly ministries and agencies, either to scrap some or join some. What he needed to say really is that the Tinubu government must summon the courage to implement the Oronsaye report, which has been on the table since, so that we can plug the wastages and leakages that Akpabio was talking about. So those are the more important points that he made. But we do not expect that this show of sycophancy will continue, and not that sycophancy on your mandate we stand. They've already passed the budget before even looking at it.
All right, Rufai, if you recall, I did take this story where, Tinubu had this FEC meeting and they played this actual tune. But I said it was because he had just been announced or affirmed president of Nigeria. He was in a group of his people and they had to play that tune. However, it's not the first time, Dr. Abati, you are saying that they shouldn't play it in public. If you recall, during the Niger crisis, I know that the president is the ECOWAS chair. They played the same song of allegiance there.
The allegiance will be to the Constitution, not to an individual.
Dr. Rufai is...
I'm blowing hair this morning because... God help me. At first, shame on all our National Assembly members that were seated there where another song of allegiance was played. Shame. And if we truly had a country, if we truly had a republic, By now, those in their constituency should be sending them letters to show how disgruntled they are, and if possible, recalling them. It is that bad. We're losing the country with psychophancy. But it's not only Tinubu. It happened during Buhari's administration. Remember how people were wearing Buhari's insignia on their body? Now everybody's wearing his cap and all of them. What level of madness have we got into in this country? It's a whole new level of madness. What level of madness are we doing? At the hollow chamber? By playing that song, a partisan song, they desecrated the hollow chamber. And they must account for it. Let's go back history. Do you know what caused the first English Civil War? The king tried to overreach himself in the parliament, and the parliamentarians kicked against it. King Charles I. It led to the emergence of Oliver Cromwell, the Lord Protector of England. The parliament is for the people of Nigeria. Parlement. The meaning of the parliament is parlement, to speak on behalf of the people. Not to do political sentiment and hypocrisy or listen to songs of allegiance posed to a certain political party. And there were some other lawmakers there, they couldn't talk. How would they be able to talk? Maybe we're telling Labour Party lawmakers, when they were part of those that collected the 160 million for cars, will they have the nerve to speak? We're telling lawmakers from other parties to discountenance that they didn't do it. But how will they be able to talk? We forget in a hurry, Oji. We forget that there are three co-equal arms of government in this country. The judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. President Tinubu is the head of one equal arm, the executive. The legislature has a head of his own arm. But we have a legislature that don't even know themselves, and they are kowtowing to the executive. They are worse than copy and paste now. They are worse than rubber. They are hype men, as Big we call them.
Hype men.
So shame on all of them for not understanding that they are a co-equal arm of government in this country, and they are singing an allegiance song.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right.
To the executive. You can see where we've started.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was important to highlight it. We don't need a hype man at the National Assembly. We'll take another story. The Kogi state governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Dino Melaye, on Wednesday announced that he will not challenge the electoral victory of the All Progressives Congress before the State Election Petition Tribunal. Melaye, who came third in the election, alleged that the judiciary is no longer independent, but a department of the APC, and called on all opposition political parties of Nigeria to boycott all future elections until the current INEC, constituted by APC members, is dissolved. Let's take a listen.
I hereby call on all political parties to boycott future elections in this country until Mahmoud Yakubu and the corrupt commissioners of INEC are completely dissolved and a new credible INEC constituted. That is when we can have democracy. If we fail to do that, participation by political parties will mean legitimizing, endorsing, and promoting the illegality that is ongoing. So I call on all political parties to boycott future elections and allow them to run a one-party state, because our non-participation will definitely will definitely deny them the legitimacy they need to carry on.
Well, I think that Dino Melaye is right on one score. If you recall, yesterday there was that Citizens Town Hall, was it on Tuesday, where the former INEC chair called for the unbundling of INEC. Dr. Bati.
Well, but I think the bigger point that Dino Melaye was making would be his attack on the judiciary. He says that Nigerians have lost trust and confidence in the judiciary, and he went ahead to label the Nigerian judiciary. He says the judiciary in Nigeria now is an arm of the APC, a wing of the ruling party, All Progressives Congress. Well, I think that's a bit on the very harsh side, but he expresses the sentiment of many others who seem to have lost faith in the judiciary, including members of, generally of the opposition party. He also criticized INEC, that INEC under Professor Yakub Mahmoud, has also lost any claim to independence. And he cited the fact that in Kogi State, pre-filled result sheets were seen even before election took place. And that's the specific thing that happened in Ogurimagongo local government area, where in about 9 out of the major polling units, results had been released even before people left their homes. And you recall that in that November 11 election in Kogi State, 5 local government areas had their, election cancelled, and they had to have a rerun in those areas of Okene, Adavi, Ogurimagongo, Ajaukuta, So that was what happened. He was referring to that. But more importantly, he's saying that INEC should be dissolved.
Yes, I thought that was the most
And you are right. It came up at the Citizens Town Hall meeting organized by IAGA, along with the Joint Committee of the National Assembly on election matters. Okay? Because people are worried about the true independence of INEC. And so they are saying you can't have an electoral body that is supposed to be an unbiased umpire populated by partisan members of the ruling party.
We have to
and
emphasize
this
is the most important.
So this is part of the electoral reform process. But let's just put it on record that he came third. And the margin of lead between Usman Ododo and his group self, and even Ajaka of the SDP who came second, the margin of lead is so wide. Yeah. So apart from all those basic points that Dino Melaye made, he's also been very pragmatic. That with the number of votes, how many votes did he get? 75,000.
That's not going to challenge.
The margin is so wide, there's no need. And then, of course, it's not cheap to go and recruit lawyers and go to the tribunal. The logistics involved, the finances involved. I saw somebody say he has settled with the judge. He was not going to pay his lawyer. No, when you recruit a lawyer to go and represent you, you must pay. A liberal deserves its wages. Absolutely. So maybe the pragmatism for Dino Melaye is, look, let me not waste money for that. But that's on the lighter.
Absolutely, I know, I love that. But as the opposition, he has to keep speaking. Rufai, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, we can laugh all we want, but what Mr. Dino Melaye said is so important.
Yes, we have to continue.
And as far as I'm concerned, we are joking. I will just say this again quickly. If President Tinubu can truly abide by the Ways report by removing his hand and the hand of the president from whoever picks those in INEC, I will celebrate him every day when he does that.
Fantastic.
But I dare him to do that.
State Senator Athan Achonu, the reason he lost the ballot on November the 11th, coming third behind the APC and the PDP, is because he was cheated out of it and because the Electoral Commission, INEC, allegedly compromised the poll. And subsequently, after he went to court to reclaim what he says is a stolen mandate, Senator Achonu says that INEC set about frustrating his legal team by blocking their access to election materials used for the ballot, despite a court injunction ordering the commission to grant them unfettered inspection powers. He says INEC has created a toxic, oppressive environment that poses a real threat to his chances of building a credible case in court.
Everybody to himself. Rerek, Sylvia, professor as well, in Owerri, is totally, she's an emperor there. Whatever she wants is what is done. She's been hiding since Friday. When you come and ask for, say, unless Rek comes, and you can't find the Rek anywhere. They are simply delaying so that we will not be able to get facts to go to court to prove our victory. We won the election. It was a landslide. They say that everything has collapsed, but I keep telling them that I believe that there are men of integrity within the judiciary. As I also saw some men of integrity, even within INEC, who were upset and cried, but they couldn't do anything. So I'm calling on President, distinguished Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, to look into what is going on. I mean, this cannot happen under his watch. He has gone around the whole world now soliciting for investment. How can any same person come and invest in a place like this?
Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the man you saw in that clip, the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Imo State, Senator Athan Achonu. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you, Charles, for having me.
So first, you allege that you were cheated out of victory in the governorship election in Imo State on November the 11th after coming third behind the APC and the PDP, according to INEC. Then you now say that INEC is frustrating the living daylights out of you and your legal team by blocking access to election materials that you need to build your case in court. I mean, it all sounds like a pretty toxic experience that you've had so far of Nigerian politics, assuming your allegations are true.
Charles, it wasn't unexpected. When I ran for Senate, my opponent brought a forged result. So when we went to court, I had my own result, he had his own. So they asked INEC to come and identify which one of the results that they signed. They refused to come to court. Then they instituted a committee to investigate those two results. And they not determined that the other one was fake. After I had left the Senate, till today it hasn't been made public. Now, having said that, this last election, what happened wasn't unexpected. You saw that the governor returned 27 over 27 during the last House of Assembly elections. Even though the Labour Party is recovering some of them, most of the Labour Party House of Assembly candidates couldn't afford the legal fees at the time. So those who could, some of them have been upturned. So see the reaction in Owerri. You had a governorship election where the sitting governor, the incumbent, claimed he won a landslide. It's like a graveyard. Everybody's in mourning. Now, you had the House of Assembly member for Owerri, who the Court of Appeal, affirmed his victory. Owerri has erupted into joy, celebration. That's how the people react when they voted you in, and then your victory is affirmed. Having said that, I didn't come third in the election. Even the security agencies, the international observers, they've been saying it, that I won landslide. They changed everything.
Yeah, but the international observers have no way of, they didn't count the votes, did
No,
they?
Charles, everybody saw what happened. Everybody saw this was totally unexpected. It came from the inside out. Instead of, normally what used to happen is that these gangsters, they will go and write results outside and try to push it into the collation center. Before the election, we appealed to the INEC chairman that we want to make sure that we have world results collated at the world level, from the polling unit to the world level. Remember, he guaranteed us that the results will be uploaded right from the polling units. He went public with that. The INEC went public with that. And also, collation must be at the world collation centers before going to local government. So we are prepared to protect our votes. What happened?
So you say it was unexpected. So that means that you didn't suspect that things might go belly up as the elections approached. I mean, you trusted that the system was going to work.
Charles, I don't know what... Charles, these are men who are so... Okay, for example, Professor Mahmoud, the professor. The woman in Owerri, Sylvia Ago, a professor. They're supposed to be people of integrity. Even though things have been going wrong in INEC and other, in the electoral cycle all this while. Now, there was a stakeholders meeting where they guaranteed, they even announced by themselves that there's now an improvement. Do you understand? That this election, this time around, you have to believe something. You have to believe somebody, for God's sake.
But you raised quite a bit of alarm.
Yes, after the alarm, they refused to. They told them that they said they will bring about 5 regs to supervise the one there that we are complaining about. Now they will bring national commissioners. When everybody started panicking was when the National Commissioner, Ken, tried to, at the stakeholders meeting, he wanted the press out at a public function. You understand me? He didn't want the press there, so that they would take note of every statement they made, every promise that they made. That's why he wanted them out. So, but the parties objected, and they remained. So they made strong promises, reassured everybody that this is a standalone election, off-cycle election, and that the beavers was going to work, that it will upload the results, and that collation will start from world collation centers to local government collation centers. Instead, what happened? When they saw that Labour Party was winning, government officials rushed into so many of the polling units, beat up people. They beat the vice chairman of Labour Party, a woman, Charles. They beat her, a commissioner beat her black and blue. So many polling units, they beat them up, carried ballot boxes, went and wrote results. Some of the collation centers, they came with already written results. That's what happened. So,
right.
Yeah,
finish what you're saying.
So now you have won an election, Charles. We said, okay, thank you, you have won. Okay, on the day collation was taking, okay, Charles, do you know that by 10 o'clock, some results were being uploaded already on an election day? Imo State that has 27 local governments. Bayelsa took 3 days to collate. Imo State took 2 hours. And then the party chairman, the Labour Party chairman, raised an alarm that even the results they were quoting does not correspond with what was in the beavers and the IRF. And the beavers, they're not corresponding.
And this is one of the reasons you need to see the beavers.
Yes. And
let's take this forward.
This was,
now.
No, I'm coming.
Right.
This was the reason why we asked for a review. They told them to stop collation. And that's what the law says. You understand me? It was enough reason to stop collation and check the beavers before announcing that result. They didn't do that. And then we petitioned for a review. And we had 7 days within which to allow a review. If not, then you can now issue the man with his certificate of return. The 7 days didn't elapse. After the 6th day, they hurriedly issued the certificate of return. After hurriedly announcing their result. Now, we went to court, asking the court to compel INEC to allow us to inspect, do a forensic inspection of the beavers' machines. Do you understand? To find out if it was tampered with.
And you brought an international team.
We brought a team to the place.
Right.
Charles, they refused to allow us to do it. Even when we now wrote again to the secretary of the commission, complaining at what happened. Look at what happened. So today, they finally said we can come and do the inspection. Do you know what happened? They flooded the place with thugs. Over about 100 of them surround. I had to raise alarm. I called the deputy commissioner of police. We got information that they are going to attack us when they start inspection of it. So I raised alarm again at the INEC head office today. I think that was what solved the problem.
So you've sorted that problem
now. I think it's been sorted out now.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing, because I was wondering. I was thinking, surely you and your legal team must be talking to someone or some people at INEC. I was interested in knowing what they're actually saying to you, but because INEC can't be. You have to assume they're a responsible institution.
Exactly.
And there's a limit to what they're able to get away with.
Yes.
So, because it starts to sound as though they're, from another planet or something, and they're not.
It's unbelievable, Charles. It's unbelievable.
So just tell us briefly what exactly it is that you're trying to get from INEC at the moment, that you need to kind of build your case.
Everything. Every data. We need to make sure that whatever they have corresponds with what was used to announce the incumbent as the winner of that election.